Well, hello there, traders and investors. I'm L.A. Little, and this is your daily NeoTA wrap. Take a look at these markets. We're doing it from a neoclassical perspective. That means we're looking at supply and demand on the charts. We're finding areas of significance, and we're watching how the tests take place in those areas. As we do so, that gives us information. We use that information to decide our timing. When we come in, when we go out, we use qualified trend to know which way we want to point. And in essence, that's the model. That's the neoclassical model. That's what we do. We do it 4 times a week, every Monday through Thursday, broadcast at or before 10 o'clock Eastern Time. It's archived on YouTube. It's under the channel L.A. Little. And if you like what you see, you want to subscribe and you haven't, just reach up in the right-hand corner and do so. Anytime I push public content, you'll get a notification. As far as what happened in these markets, it was a down day. First full day of Trump doing his thing. Market a little bit nervous. Dollar sells off again, down 0.5%. S&P ends down about 0.25%. Russell down 1/3. If we look at the NASDAQ, that again was trying to hold up. Big cap stocks look pretty good again in the NASDAQ. Overseas, we had some selling as well, and we had gold pop higher one more time. As we come into the first full week of Trump's inauguration, first full week of his presidency, we're going to see some volatility probably push in here. But if you look at volatility itself, there was no bump in volatility. It actually declined. So let's take a look at these indexes. Here's the S&P 500, and what we're going to see is pretty much what we have seen, and that is the range still in effect. Another doji. How many dojis have we gotten over the last 2 weeks? A number of them. We can't seem to break up, can't seem to break down. Don't quite know what to do with it. Earnings keep coming out pretty good. You've got the uncertainty with the presidency. Between those things, the market just keeps flopping around. If we move over to the small caps, which of course were the big winners last year, the small caps actually tested on the downside one more time. Still did not find new sellers at lower and lower price points, but instead found no sellers, and it flips back around and also does more or less a doji as well. If we look at the NDX, same thing, tries to push down, can't, pushes back up, still hanging at the highs. And the NASDAQ, if we look at that one, we have the same thing there. So across the board here, really don't have anything much different than what we had over the last 2 months, really, and that is we've got a range. We're still sitting in that range, and we're not doing much about it. If I look at the sectors, and I'm just going to flip through them because I haven't had a chance to look at them myself. So Biotech pushes down, and now remember, we're in Biotech, we're in that bottom part of the range again. There's really a range that ranges from about there to there or so, and in the middle of it is this bar, and we're in the back side of it and heading back down to test these lows again. And so, if you're in biotechs, this is actually in your long, right? This is not what you want to see because you're digging deeper and deeper into that range. If I move over to the transports, have been holding and still holding. Had a little bit more volume, looks like, come in today. Tested into this bar, held it, which is also the bottom of this bar. Yeah, it looks like it held. So I don't see, this is one of the ones that needs to reset, and again, it doesn't look like it's going to anytime soon. Still holding. Anytime you get to push down, the buyers creep in, the sellers disappear, and that's what we've seen over and over again. SOX looks the same. Sellers did not want to try and sell at lower and lower prices. And if we keep moving across here, basic materials. Now we had, some money coming into the basic materials, into the precious metals. This one is actually broken back over a swing point high, and it's pushing back into the bottom of the highs. That's 51.19, and it closes right at it. So you're right into the low of the high. A lot of times that becomes resistance, and what's really, if we really want to cut and dice and slice this guy, the top of this bar, right, which is where your little volume is on the breakdown, 51.26, that's the price where, look at that, it got to 51.27, and then the sellers came in. So again, no big movement, but you can see the supply and demand being played out on your charts, which is what the neoclassical model is always focused on. And so that to me looks like a quote-unquote small little failure, and it's probably going to try and push lower tomorrow. XLE, so they pushed down. Oh, looky here, they almost got into the bottom of the bar finally. 73.29. We get to 73.39. So we're coming into it. Volume's not there. If you're looking for a place to maybe do some buying, this might be a place to take a look at. So XLE, it's coming down to do the test without the volume. So far, looks like it's holding. Financials, let's see what the financials did. They're still holding in that range. And again, they tested under, back over, got a little push up, now fading back in again. Now these, you know, I don't know if they're going to make the run all the way down to here, but you've got these big bars that are down in this area. So that price point is in here. That's still a good piece down if they want to make that run. Let me see what the top of that is. 22.33, and we're sitting at 23. That's 66. That's about another 3% of a downside if they make that run. And that would actually probably be a good buy, but I imagine there'd be a lot of folks freaking out by then. XLI. And that one. So that one trades back into the volume bar. 63.06 and holds. It looks to me like it's going to hold and try to flip back around. XLK, these are all minor moves though. I wouldn't put a lot of weight in any of this stuff. XLK still looks good, still pushing, and that's the big cap technology that's been doing well. XLP, inside bar, doesn't really say anything. XLU also looks like it is a small failure, probably going to try and push a little bit lower. XLV, and Biotech comes down, this one goes with it. This one's doing a retest regen, so this is an important part of the model. That's the test. Get up underneath it and hold and push back up. You can regenerate. Get underneath it, stay, right? Then you can continue to push down. So the test is coming here. And finally, XLY. And this one's just hanging. This one needs a reset but doesn't want to do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're going to get a swing point low here tomorrow. That means you can reset at 82.97. So that would be, again, another positive development. Overall, it looks the same to me. I don't see much difference here. This market's still hanging. If you wanted to be negative, it's pretty hard. If you want to be positive, it's the trend. It's still there. A little bit of housekeeping notes. I'm traveling. My internet connectivity is not nearly as good as it usually is. And so, you know, these shows are going to be a little bit more spotty probably this week and maybe even next. And so if I don't have a show, you know, if the show doesn't show up in the specified time, then there's probably not going to be a show that night, just simply because I'm unable to bring a show to you. I will do my best, as always, to give you a show, but right now I'm not sure if they're going to happen or not. One of the things I tell members, and I've said here before, is to focus on those things have reported. And honestly, I haven't had a chance to even look at these today, given that I was on the road. But you know, if you flip into some of these, and we have a shared watch list. Let me pull this over. One of the things we have in the not the Neo, but in the Neoclassical tools, is the concept of shared watch list. And I've got an earnings one I keep and share with members. And you know, you can flip through this guy, and I outline to myself what I think is the trade, you know, is the trend on it, right? Bullish or sideways or whatever. And then the rest of the data gets filled out by some programs. If you look at these, and I just popped into the very first one, ALK, you know, post-earnings trades are pretty good trades. And the reason for that is if it really is bullish, if you look here at ALK, for example, if you got a nice big push up and this thing has got a range now, that's the high volume range, more than likely you're going to see buyers come back in, given the neoclassical theory, right, on this bar here. And so, and the good thing about this is you've got, on this trade, you've got a demarcation here where to look to do the buying, which is in this area. You got this big bar, which is your breakout bar. As it comes into here, you're probably going to find buyers right at the top and certainly at the bottom if it goes that deep. And this is kind of your stop out area down here if it keeps going. So, the closer you get to this to do your buying, the better off you are. And more than likely, they're going to support this stock over the next 2 to 3 months because of earnings. We're good. And so, unless the general market just really collapses, these post-earning plays are probably not going to collapse. They're going to come back into areas that one can buy on the expectation that they're going to try to regenerate to the top side. And so ALK, I just gave you an example, but what you really want to do is you want to focus on earnings as they come out, because rather than play before earnings, you can play after, a lot safer bet. And if you can read the charts, you can figure out where your buys and sells are. And on this particular one, your buys are here and potentially right in there. I would ideally like to see it hold this area, but if it scooped down into here and then push back up immediately, it would still be a good buy. And your stops are just below that area, right? Just below this bar's lows. So you give it a little ATR room, and you got yourself a pretty good trade potentially for some sort of action back to the upside. If nothing else, to go retest this top. But if more, right, to continue to extend higher. That's it for tonight, folks. I will try to bring a show each night, but if I don't, I'm on the road and I just can't, so I'll do my best. Take care. I'll see you next time. Good night.